Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Right. Happy Wednesday. Well, welcome to the Norfolk Public Schools work session for June 17th. We're not going to delay the time, so I'm going to hand it. Let me look at my agenda. Ms. Lynch, please call the roll.
Basine,
Here.
Alejandro, Martin,
Present.
Paulson,
Present.
Slaughter,
Present.
Thomas, Buffalo.
I'm here. We're going to move down to 2.01, Dr. Rose.
At this time, I would like to call Ms. McGarity, as we're going to cover 2.01, chronic absenteeism dropout rate.
Right. Ms. Lidge, can you scroll to the... Yeah, we'll start there. And then... All right, so good afternoon, Chair Moore Buffalo, Vice Chair DeCalagero, Dr. Rose, other board members, colleagues, and community members. I'm here today to provide an update of chronic absenteeism and dropout rates for quarter 4. I first want to introduce, I do have with me Ms. Michelle Moore, who works with graduation and chronic absenteeism, so we have worked closely on this. Please remember that data currently, though, are preliminary and will be finalized by the Virginia Department of Education later in the summer and into the early fall. Key takeaways from this quarter's data are the chronic absenteeism rate is lower at the end of the fourth quarter, which is notable, with a notable decrease from quarter 3, dropping from 19.6 to 17.5. Additionally, 17.5 is the lowest it has been at the same time of year since we've began the school board reporting structure that we have. Over 80% of our schools reduced their chronic absenteeism in the fourth quarter. Focused end-of-year attendance efforts encouraged students to remain engaged through the last day of school and contributed to the reduction from quarter 3 to quarter 4. The division dropout rate is slightly lower in quarter 4 than it was in quarter 3, and it is the lowest it has been since before cohort 2024. Ms. Lynch, can you scroll to the next page so we can just look at the dropout rate as well? Thank you, right there, perfect. Schools' efforts to encourage attendance through the final day of school likely contributed to the reduction in chronic absenteeism observed at the end of quarter 4. Although consistency across schools with timelines of record keeping and regarding chronic absenteeism remains a focus of the division's work moving forward. Analysis of the end of fourth quarter chronic absenteeism data across several student engagement groups shows that some groups are impacted more than others, but the most prolific reason overall for absenteeism are still unexcused absences. The data shows that 70% of absences for chronically absent students are due to those unexcused absences. McKinney-Vento students make up about 8.4% of the chronically absent students. 19.5% of chronically absent students transferred into our schools after the first day of school, and 21.7% transferred out before the end of the school year. However, they all remain in the chronic absenteeism calculation. 9.2% of chronically absent students have 50% of their absences coming from days of suspension. 9.2% of chronically absent students have 50% of their absences are coming from days of suspension. Data analysis will continue throughout the summer to further examine student groups and attendance patterns. While attendance recovery only moved approximately 4% of students from chronically absent to not chronically absent status, many additional students benefited from the instructional and intervention opportunities provided through the recovery process. MTSS continues to support schools in addressing attendance as a significant non-academic barrier. Through the VTSS grant, the division continues to strengthen systems, processes, and staff capacity to support student attendance and engagement. Even with the decrease in the dropout rate from quarter 3 to quarter 4, a more notable decrease is desired. There continues to be time for the rate to change and to be finalized by the Virginia Department of Education. The Virginia dropout and graduation rates are not finalized until well after October 1st of the following school year. The reason for this is to include summer graduates and any re-engagements by the beginning of the 26-27 school year. Graduation and re-engagement work does continue throughout the summer. In closing, we're encouraged by the improvement in chronic absenteeism at the end of the school year, with seeing the lowest Q4 rate since formalized school board reporting began. Dropout rates are moving in the right direction, although the final rates will not be available until later this fall. And as we prepare for the 26-27 school year, training, additional data analysis, and collaboration with attendance teams and other important stakeholders will guide the next steps for both attendance and student engagement. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
School board members, you've heard the report. Are there any questions? Ms. DeCalagero.
I don't have a question per se, because you're now. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Happy to do that.
Ms. Basine?
Thank you, and thank you for the thorough presentation. I do have some follow-up questions, if I may, regarding the breakdown of the students who are chronically absent. And so you mentioned that 9.2% of the students had 50% or more from days of suspension.
Yes.
And then what about, what percentage of those students are also out-of-district transfers? And so these are different policy questions, so I asked this question thinking about this from a board policy standpoint, about what we might do or enforce. I mean, it's not, how well we're enforcing certain policies. So on the one hand, the discipline piece, which I know it's an ongoing battle that we've had because there are excused absences, and that counts toward the chronic absenteeism.
Correct.
And I don't know what the administration has thought about, or what is within our control to, mitigate that impact on our chronic absenteeism rate, in terms of practices that we could put in place so that our students are in school, versus, I guess that would be part of our alternative education future planning, as we think about that. But, I mean, right now, where we are, what are some strategies and thoughts that?
Yeah. So I'm going to let Ms. Moore respond to that, since she works directly with that piece to kind of what are those things in place or to be.
Thank you so much for that. And in terms of consideration for our kids that are receiving a suspension due to disciplinary concern, those students still have an opportunity to recover instructional time. I know in one of the previous board meetings, there was an opportunity to talk about the fact that we do offer an opportunity for our kids to engage in attendance recovery efforts. They also have credit recovery opportunities at the secondary level, because we continue to make sure that our kids have an opportunity to regain stride. We definitely don't want there to be a situation where, we had some type of impulsive decision that was made that becomes a derailer. Which is why we work diligently with that. In terms of the attendance recovery efforts specifically, when our kids have that opportunity, it always has to take place outside of the standard instructional day. And so that's the piece that if there's a way that we can begin to think about how to have opportunities available sooner. Many times we're trying to make strategic determinations to make sure that our teachers aren't overwhelmed, because we always need to have, of course, a teacher to anchor that effort, but also be able to have that available earlier on in the school year. And it's always tied in with funding as well as consideration of what's in the best interest of the staffs that we have at the school. But that's what we have currently in place. And of course, that's aligned with expectations that have been outlined by Virginia Department of Education Office, Superintendent's Office.
And if I may ask a follow-up to that. So I appreciate that explanation. So with the attendance recovery, and because it is outside of the school day, I guess I worry about the very students that are at risk, how we're attracting them to come outside of the school day if they're not coming during the school day.
So many times, this is where our principals are working and thinking deeply alongside, members of their on-time graduation team. I'm speaking specifically at the secondary level here. But what you'll notice when you go into the schools, many times it's, highly visible in the schools, is connected into some type of activity that our kids are looking forward to. Secondary, they're always looking forward to prom. And so it's linked. There's an opportunity, that's actually in connection. The engagement piece is the biggest thing that we can do to take on chronic absenteeism. Making sure that our kids know that they have, means to actually stay engaged and connected in a way that means something to them. Because everything, varies based on that child's interest. And so this is why we have our graduation coaches, particularly at the secondary level, working to figure out ways to be able to support small groups that are tailored to try to, bring back in the kids that are experiencing, more pronounced needs for recovery, which is why we're pleased with our dropout numbers at this time, but we continue to work on that. And that's an effort that is collaborative across the entire school.
And I noticed with the dropout, different from the previous years where you see these more drastic fluctuations. It's been, not where we want it to be, but those drastic increases and, those haven't
Dr.
were
Rose?
observed this year.
It's something.
I'm understanding your question well. So, for example, if a student is suspended, we're aware that those days that are missing count towards absenteeism. Meantime, to your point, they can also make them up, right? However, and I know that this is just an if, because we don't have this in place, but if a student were to serve that time, not at home, but in an educational setting, and if we had a short-term educational setting, they could continue to get education, but of course aligned to the discipline that they had received, then in fact that time would not be counted as absent because they were receiving support.
Yes.
Right? And the reason I bring that, I just want to be clear on, because to Ms. Bassine's point, and we've talked about this loosely as a board, is with an understanding that we're fully aware, and we know it's a resource, it's a structure issue, but I think there's an interest of ours to think about what are we doing to support amidst discipline situations, so that the schools can make the right decisions, knowing that students can still receive support whether they're at school or not. So, right?
Right.
Okay.
And that is where I was going with the policy, but not so much that we don't have it in place. It's the enforcement and the support for that to happen, yeah.
And I think, and to that point, we can almost, when we know, for lack of a better title, the ISS piece, the in-school suspension, does not count against it, but we can almost see when there isn't somebody in the position.
Yes.
Well, so we can almost watch it because we run data weekly for the schools to be able to watch all through, and they use it, multiple teams use it for multiple different reasons, but we kind of can see ISS person that's vacant or they don't have one. We'll see days start going back up and that heavier on that suspension side. So to your point, yes, it'd be a valid place to start looking at how can we kind of reinforce and increase those supports in that way for
Yeah, absolutely.
get it together location inside the school. kind
Yeah,
of thing.
and then, so tying on that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
Oh.
Thank you.
So thank you for that explanation and this dialogue. I hope we can, dig into that more. The other piece is, and I've heard this from principals too, it says, when you're talking about chronic absenteeism, consider digging in a little deeper and looking at those out-of-district transfers. Because, which I thought was, we've never looked at, those different subgroups of students who are seeking out-of-district transfer, which is a privilege, that they get to attend a school. But what percentage of those students are out-of-district transfers? And are there policies or practices that we should be putting in place that if you are an out-of-district transfer or in one of our specialty choice programs and you are a chronically absent student, are there consequences of that that can be linked to, but is it consistently
Consistent, right,
applied?
yeah.
And so we have to look at I believe, and I've been saying this for a really long time, that we need to look at our out-of-district transfer policies and practices, because, it's long overdue. But as part of that, really understanding of those who are chronically absent, how many of those have received an out-of-district
Their home
transfer.
school is not the school that they're
Right.
attending and enrolling. So I will say I took your initial question that when you sent it in as from outside of Norfolk into Norfolk,
Oh, not necessarily
but
outside.
not school to school. The way you said it was how we.
Oh, I said-
Not because it was, so I appreciate the clarification. I'll say I looked at in and out of the division.
Oh,
That
I
is my
wondered why.
misunderstanding.
Okay.
So I did not look at it in that way, but I think it's a valid piece moving forward for us to look at. We do run for the schools, so they are able to analyze between like who might be outside at an alternative program because the data's coming back, so they're able to see, is it my students that are just for picking one, Maury kids, or is it students who may be at like Madison or that kind of thing, where is the impact coming from? But, yes, so I have not looked at it like that, but
Okay, so that makes more
was
sense.
my
Because your response, yeah,
Yes,
it's
so
like,
my response is
I
probably
didn't
very
realize it was
weird
that
now that-
hard to.
yes, I apologize.
Hard to look at that, but,
so-
anyway.
No, so yes, I can,
So, yeah, so it was like the request to go to another school, like
Yes.
outside
Yeah,
of your home
gotcha.
school. Okay. But to connect it to that, the other reason is I think that with all the economic development that is happening in this city and will be happening in this city, like the impact, like if we're able to better follow those students that are directly impacted and looking at how chronic absenteeism is a consequence of that upheaval and movement and what is, to keep a closer eye than we have been in these past transitions that have happened. I think that's important too. But then tying to my next, because I don't want to take up a lot of time. Oh, go
You have another question?
well, I was going to connect this to the
Okay.
public health impact, which I appreciate the response that you provided, that SHAC is looking at this, and if there are any recommendations that they've put forward as a result of some of, the recognition that, who could we be partnering with? Like, are we partnering with pediatricians, healthcare providers? Are we doing those things to kind of talk to parents about why it's important to go to school? Because some of these elementary schools have really high chronic absenteeism, and that's just, so looking at who our partners are and how we as a village,
My question?
yeah, so I'll yield for now.
Colonel Polson? You had a question?
Thank you. The question is, do you have any stats that show how many times the attendance recovery is actually exercised and it reduces, their attendance record, or their absent part, so that they have a better standing? Do we keep that kind of?
we do track, it all has to be submitted each time a student attends. And if they did the 3 hours and with all the pieces of the criteria that are required, but what for this end of year, kind of end of fourth quarter piece, there was about 4%, it was for about 4% of chronically absent students actually, so it's not of the 17.5, but moved to not chronically absent because of the recovery effort. So they were able to do enough days to get them over that hump back onto the not chronically absent side. So, yeah, so 4%. It's not,
That's
huge. It's
4%
one of
better.
those, it's 4% better, absolute, 100%. I mean, and there were a lot, but I want to also make sure I give the other side of that where too, even though it was only 4%, there were a lot of kids that participated and maybe brought down days, but they weren't chronically absent in the first place, or it wasn't enough, but they were participating with a certified teacher with remediation, intervention, and those kinds of things. But there were not, chronic absenteeism was the first layer of kids invited. So it's kind of a layer, they layer the program just to reduce, the need for widespread.
Right,
Sets of
because although
teachers.
they may not, or we may have, in this instance that Ms. McGarity is referring to, we have different tiers, as we all know, where we categorize how our kids are performing with their attendance rate. So just because a kid hasn't actually tipped over into being chronically absent doesn't mean that we aren't monitoring them, because they could be trending chronic or nearly chronic. And so we're still extending that invitation because we remain focused on doing all that we can, providing multiple opportunities for our kids to be able to recover and actually have that time with the teacher to fill in gaps that they may have to keep moving forward.
Thank you very much.
A quick question. We talked about secondary. And how are the parent engagement specialists utilized to, with the efforts of, helping kids to know how important it is, or talking to parents how important it is for their children to?
Yes, really, it's a all hands-on approach. When the attendance teams meet, we try to invite, principals have the autonomy to make the ultimate determination about which members of the team are able to consistently participate, but we always welcome opportunity to have our parent engagement specialists join, because they're going out into the community, and many times they'll actually partner with attendance technicians and engaging in those home visits for safety. But it's something that we feel is key. It's a shared responsibility, taking on attendance in a way that's truly impactful, because the major conversations aren't always taking place in a formal meeting, right? We're trying to get to people before we're at, a hinge point where we have to make a determination about, we're now talking about excessive absences that have progressed.
Yeah, I was just thinking most of the time they have those relationships.
Yes.
And so conversations with parents.
And I think the information, one of the pieces of information that Ms. Moore was talking about, that parent engagement specialists use, the counselors use at all the levels, all the different places with the attendance, is that it's tracking every kid every week. So we can watch, and we have, rule of thumb is, if you're heading towards 7%, 8%, then if you have not already, which most of them, there are rules that they have to follow, but if they're trending that way, intervene at that point. So that's when the parent engagement might start making phone calls and those kinds of things, along with the attendance text, the visits. Let's talk about why school's important. Is it a resource need? So kind of the piece that, from the health advisory piece, it might just be, we found one time it was, when we went and dove deep into a school, it was a walking community, and it was rainy days or snowy days or really cold. So it turned into a resource. They got with their partners, let's get that kind of thing. So, they have all those pieces in place to really everybody jump in and do the work. And they have the information to do that before, not after. So even though it's 4%, it's still, that's the 4% that kind of got beyond.
What is and this might be a Dr. Pohl question, what is the benefit for a child who is doing fine, chronically absent? What does the student benefit from attendance recovery?
You want to answer that, or you want? I mean, I have my thoughts on why that's, no matter what, a kid being at school is going to be more of a benefit, whether you're doing well or not.
Right.
So, because there's other resources, other things that if you're at school, the people around you know you have a safe space, and there's that piece. So regardless of doing well, being at school is still the most important.
Yeah, social emotional, but there are students who will say, I can go to school for 7 hours, or I can go to attendance recovery next week and skip school. So, when they only have to make up 3 hours to make up an entire school day, there are students who will take that option.
Well, so they can, but also there's attendance requirements for passing courses as well, and for the state, that these will make up a few days for them, but if they're consistently doing that, there's going to be other concerns where they just won't be successful. But that's another part of the conversation about student engagement, even outside of class, like Ms. Moore was talking about earlier, connecting it to athletics, connecting it to different activities they want to do, for being in school. We increase the amount of clubs and activities we do post-COVID to help with engaging our students to get them to come to school for that exact reason.
That's a strategy for some schools because if they're usually connected to something, athletics, clubs, they're more likely to come to school. Ms. Basine?
That's really huge.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's why I'm glad we have middle school
Yes.
sports. Football and
Yes.
those kind of things.
It's huge.
So speaking of engagement, so one of the things that I've asked about frequently is around teacher absenteeism. Because one thing we also hear is like, well, my teacher is absent, so why should I be in school? And sometimes we have teacher absences that have been lengthier than we might like, and where the student doesn't feel engaged while they're in the classroom. So if teacher's not there, they might choose to also not be there. So, and that is one thing that we can internally control. So it's like, why don't we, I guess my question has been over the years is, why don't we look at that? Like, because that is a school factor that we can better control than student absenteeism, right? So just putting that out there, as a consideration, because I think you would see some correlations with that, with student absenteeism too, is
Are there any other questions?
Talked about this before. It's very important, obviously, to have the teacher show up and not have a better. But also, we don't want to encourage. I remember this is what came up. We don't want to encourage teachers to come to work when they're sick.
there's definitely that. Yeah. Well, yeah, we don't want students to come to
Right.
school if they're sick either, but the
I
chronic.
agree with
yeah.
everything else you were saying, but I remember there was like one. We've had this conversation before that it's come up. that
Everybody needs their
We don't want to
sick
incentivize
days.
people coming to work when they're.
Oh, and that's a whole other conversation around, just, the whole notion of perfect attendance. Like, that's always drove me nuts because you don't want sick kids coming to school. And, you know what I mean? Like, so,
Yes,
but,
within reason.
yeah, but I'm talking like chronic absenteeism in staff, so.
Track that, all of a sudden the school looks like their chronically absent rate went up, but it was the first quarter. Like, you track that kind of information as well?
So track that as in,
Make notes of it?
yes, so we don't run separate reports, but we'll start to notice what's going on because there's been an influx, right? So when we run things and look at it from our end, hey, what's going on? And we'll reach out to the executive directors, and they'll kind of research further to see what's going on. Because then we can see, because when something like that is going on, it's a pretty stark, it's almost that hockey stick move where it's all of a sudden, because as we're tracking, kids are gaining days, so their percentage gets bigger. Because we're saying school ends on that week when we run the data so we can see, because otherwise it wouldn't show up until way later. We want it to show up earlier, so we do, and then start researching from there what it is. So in that sense, where we're able to report back why, and they're able to document why at the school level as well.
Anyone else? Well, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Right, next on the agenda, may I have a motion to go into closed session, please?
I make a motion that we enter into closed executive session.
Thank you, Ms. Slaughter. May I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Basine. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Lynch, please read the motion.
17th, 2026. Move that the members of the school board of the city of Norfolk go into a closed meeting for the purposes which are set out in subsection A of section 2.2-3711 of the Virginia Federal Freedom of Information Act as amended for A, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment or of assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, discipline, or resignation of specific officers, appointees, or employees of the school board pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A1 of the Act. The subjects covered by this exemption are the discussion of specific employees to be reassigned without an alteration in pay, the discussion of specific employees currently on paid administrative leave, and the discussion of specific persons or related personnel actions on today's personnel report. B, discussion and consideration of disciplinary and any other matters concerning students in Norfolk Public Schools that would involve the disclosure of information contained in a scholastic record pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A2 of the Act. The subjects covered by this exemption are the discussion of specific students and related disciplinary actions on today's student support report. C, consultation with legal counsel regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by counsel pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A8 of the Act. The subjects covered by this exemption are consultation in connection with the matters set out above in subsections A through B of this motion. Basine?
Aye.
DeCalagero?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Slaughter?
Aye.
Thomas?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye. Thank you. We're now in closed session. Good evening, and welcome to the Norfolk Public Schools School Board meeting for Wednesday, June 17, 2026. A quorum is present for the school board to conduct business tonight. Ms. Lynch, please call the roll.
Basine?
Here.
DeCalagero?
Here.
Martin?
Present.
Paulson?
Here.
Slaughter?
Present.
Thomas?
Here.
Buffalo?
Here. We're going to move down to 4.03, Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please do the honors, Dr. Martin?
Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to move down to 4.04, Adoption of the School Board Business Agenda. May I have a motion to adopt the business meeting agenda?
I move that we adopt the school board business agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Slaughter. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Lynch, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
DeCalagero?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Slaughter? Thomas? Buffalo?
Aye. Moving down to 4.05, School Board Member Reports. We're going to start with Ms. DeCalagero.
I'll keep it short and brief. Graduation was wonderful, and I'm so proud of our class of 2026. And for me, it was especially special that I got to be on the stage with my daughter. I also want to say welcome to summer. Congratulations, teachers. You made it another year, and I hope everyone enjoys their time this summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Connor Paulson.
Mine's not quite as short, but I'll try to keep it within the limitation. I started on May 20th with PB Young and spent some time in the office learning how they conduct their business there. It was a learning experience because I've never worked in a school office before. The next day, I was at St. Patrick's as a panelist for the 8th grade projects, and that was a unique experience also. Continued that evening with the Northside Civic League. The next day, I forgot the date, I didn't write it down, the Maury EVMS medical program graduation, I attended that. That was a very moving experience also. The City Memorial Day ceremony on the 25th of May. The NTC nursing program pinning, again, young individuals that they progressed and became graduates and starting their career in the medical field. Again, the high school graduations on the 26th and 27th. Then I went, on the 1st, I went to the Governor School of Arts for that graduation. There was 99 individuals that graduated and are moving on to their professional life. So it was nice to see those as well as the ones from Norfolk that have begun their young adult life. And, let's see, two more civic leagues, joint meeting with the business associations for East Little Creek and Ward's Corner. I went to Ocean Air to look at the project where it's being repurposed for the EEC. And it's getting started, and it just supposed to finish in time to open up in August, so that school will be repurposed. Ocean Air, I stopped by there to see how they were doing with the transitioning of their students to the other schools, and that's going well also. See, I went to a couple of the receiving schools, or at least called them, and they're getting the information, and the students are coming and getting ready for the school year, which starts in August. And that's about it.
Thank you, Colonel Colson.
That's a normal month, I think, for us, for everybody. I think we all do quite a bit, so
Yes.
thank you for listening.
Dr. Martin?
Okay. So we have about 3 graduates from members of the board here. So I was one of them, my son T-Roy. And so we celebrated that. And of course, the specialty program graduations, the medical program at Maury and the IB program at Granby. Also, with that comes all the celebrations around the extracurricular activities, so celebrating soccer and lacrosse for me and my boys, and then continuing to go to all the Civic League meetings. A lot of them stopped meeting in the summer, so trying to get those in as well. So it's been a pretty busy but also enjoyable last month. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Ms. Slaughter?
Yes, I'm not going to repeat, save time and not repeat everything that everyone else has stated. It was my first time being on the school board and being able to witness graduation from a different perspective. I have cried a couple times, even though I don't have any children who graduated from Norfolk City Public Schools this year, but it was just amazing watching so many of our scholars walk across the stage, ending one season of life, entering into another season of life, overcoming things that not all of them have shared with us. So I was honored, and it was a privilege and my pleasure to one thing that I will add is that we had VSBA Law Conference, and it was very informative and very helpful and very impactful. The school board as we govern the school district, and so school is out for summer, so congratulations to everyone who made it another year. Please be safe as you enjoy this brief but necessary summer break. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Thank you, Ms. Slaughter. Ms. Thomas?
Okay, I'm gonna keep this a little brief. Do you believe it?
No,
Okay.
don't.
For my last report, things have been a bit calm, but I was still active. You already know. Okay, May the 21st, I attended the NPS retirement cruise on Spirit of Norfolk. Blessings and congratulations to all the retirements. Have a wonderful summer. Thank you for your dedication and all the hard work you have done over the years. I just want to point out two retirements, and that's to Dr. Brady and Dr. Hamlin. Thank you, and you will be missed. On that evening, I had the pleasure of attending Norview Pilot's 2026 Alumni Scholarship Banquet. Thank you to Mr. Barnes for the invite. On June the 5th, I attended the VSBA School Law Conference and received plenty of updates on school policies and laws. It was great attending the higher education graduation at Granby High School. Again, congratulations, you did it. Also, congratulations again to the NPS class of 2026. You did it, and job well done. To my students and staff of NPS, have a happy, wonderful, relaxing, fun, and safe summer. Not finished yet. Congratulations to some ladies, young ladies from Booker T. Washington High School. They have wrote a book, and it's called Clock It, Mentor Her in Minutes. Just a little side note to Miss Sanderlin, I'm waiting to get my book signed. I did receive my book on Friday.
I got
And
mine
again-
too, Ms. Thomas.
Okay.
Yep.
Again, it's on Amazon, so if you want to order the book, it would benefit and, also support our young ladies doing things in the community. Again, thank y'all.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Ms. Basine?
Thank you for the opportunity to give you an update. I too, like everyone else sitting up here, have been really busy with community events, graduations, all of our high schools, and of course our specialty program. And of course there's promotion and promotion ceremonies as well. And also the school nursing program, the central nursing program that is their graduation also. Also got to attend several regional and state sports competitions where our Norfolk Public Schools participated in. And congratulations to all of our student athletes who participated in those competitions. I know we're going to be recognizing one tonight. With that, also served on the different task forces that I'm a part of, including the Students in Schools in Challenging Environments, which I find really rewarding and hope that I can continue my work in some way post my tenure on the school board. But speaking of it being Ms. Slaughter's first set of graduations, it's really sad to think that it is going to be my last set of graduations as a school board member. It is really an honor to be part of that experience, and I'm going to truly miss it and hope that I can still have a seat to watch all of our scholars make it to that point. So anyway, congratulations 2026, and have a great summer to everyone, including all of our employees, and I am done with my report.
Thank you, Ms. Basine. As I stated, always, by the time it gets to me, everything has been said, but I do want to say congratulations to the class of 2026. You did it. Graduations were amazing. Also, I want to encourage all of our employees to please take time for yourself. I know teachers are gone, but we still have 12-month employees that are still working, and we know as soon as school is out, we're preparing for the next school year. So I encourage you to make sure you take some time off, because August will be here before you know it. So that's important. And students, we don't want too much of a summer slide. So pick up a book, get a partner and pick up a book, read. And we'll see you in August. And that's all I have. So thank you, everyone, for your reports. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Rose.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I will add to, of course, the congratulations once again to our 2026 graduates. Clearly an honor to celebrate with family and friends. And commentary on graduation is this. I think it's important that we honor the students that have done so well in high school and are transitioning to some incredible plans that they've earned. I think it's also important that we really focus on students who have just overcome incredible barriers to be able to graduate high school. And I'll end by saying, my commentary on graduation, not my report, that I believe every student in Norfolk Public Schools has the capacity to graduate high school. And I don't think graduating high school is the goal. I think graduating high school with the agency and skill set for students to be able to choose a future for themselves is the goal. And so I think it's important that as we focus on graduation, we also think about the concept we're not educating kids to become good in school. We're educating students to be able to navigate a very complex world. And I know the board stands with me in that ultimate goal. My first 100 days, by the way, was up this week. So big milestone for me. That seems very, very fast. I am amidst working on a report that, of course, I will make available to the board, our colleagues, and the community at large. And I'm excited just to say that I'm realizing that 100-day kind of entry is not over. Some of those relationships that I've had have just kind of levied other relationships and some more meetings and conversations I need to have throughout the summer. So I think in many ways that kind of 100-day plan that has been published is just going to continue. With that, I will say there are several things I'm extremely proud of thus far. Number one, our governance team. I do want to say that our commitment to working together, our focus and engaging with the community has been absolutely impressive. The ongoing alignment of our central kind of office structure to create greater collaboration, clarity, and future support systems for our schools is going extremely well, and I'm proud of the work happening by all of the leadership here in what we call the CAB. And then there is this work that's already underway that we're not ready to talk about yet, but the concept of how very specifically the support system and mechanisms for our schools moving into next year based upon their needs, aligned to our North Star, is underway and are ready. I am excited to, based upon what I'm seeing, and more importantly, to reveal in the future what we're going to do to support schools at all levels. And then, of course, I just want to say thank you to be able to serve in this community. I'm truly, truly grateful.
Thank you, Dr. Rose. We're going to move down to 4.07, highlights and celebration. Ms. Lynch, pass it to you.
Madam Chair, I would like to ask if you and Vice Chair DeCalagero, Superintendent Dr. Jeff Rose, and all board members, if you would please gather at the backdrop so that we can recognize 2 students this evening.
Our orders.
Madam Chair, we would now take a moment to recognize Desiree Artis, an 8th grade student at Lake Taylor School, for qualifying to attend the National Invention Conference.
Something for you. So we have a certificate of distinction presented to Desiree Artis, Lake Taylor School 8th grade student. And it reads, on this 17th 17th day of June 2026, the School Board of the City of Norfolk recognized your outstanding achievement in excelling at the state convention and qualifying for the National Convention with your invention, Pure Path V, which reduces exhaust pollution. Congratulations. Thank you.
Next, we have John Phelps, a recent graduate of Maury High School who has earned a new title, VHSL Class 5 Boys Tennis State Champion. Congratulations to John and Maury High School on this remarkable achievement. Notably, John is Maury's first individual state tennis champion since 1966.
So, Commonwealth Commendation of Distinction presented to John Phelps, Maury High School. On the 17th day of June 2026, the School Board of the City of Norfolk recognizes your outstanding achievement as the VHSL Class 5 Boys Tennis State Champion. Try saying that twice in one time. So we want to say congratulations. Thank you so much. Look, so welcome.
Madam Chair, this concludes our recognition for this evening.
All right, we're going to move down to 4.08, citizen comments. Ms. Lynch?
For today's citizen comments, we have 7 speakers. Today's speakers signed up for the public comments before the start of today's business meeting. If you would like to provide public comments, you are required to state the agenda items or topic you are addressing prior to providing your public comments at this meeting. When your name is called, please come forward to the speaker's podium, state your name and whether you have a child in Norfolk Public Schools or if you are employed by the district, and state your agenda items. One person is to speak at a time. If you are representing a group, state the group's name. You may ask your group members to stand in place to be recognized. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes. A timer is set with an alarm that will signify the end of your speaking time. State your position and give facts and other relevant data. Avoid saying anything that identifies students or personnel information about individual employees. Personnel, disciplinary, and confidential matters may be addressed to the school board directly via email at schoolboard@npsk12.com. Comments should be addressed to the board and not addressed to an individual member. School board members do not respond to public comments at the time they are given. Any written statements or supporting materials should be given to the clerk. Chairwoman Buffalo, our first speaker today is Ms. Coletta Covington, Norfolk Alum Chapter, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Theta. My apologies. My apologies.
Welcome.
Welcome. Again, my name is Crystal Blue Brown, and I am the president of the Norfolk Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. Would my chapter members please stand? Good evening, Superintendent Rose, members of the school board, and guests. Again, my name is Crystal Blue Brown. I am the president of this wonderful sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. It is my honor to lead 191 dedicated women, many of whom serve Norfolk Public Schools as educators, principals, social workers, paraprofessionals, librarians, and counselors. This division is also my professional home. I am a proud NPS school teacher, now entering 29 years of serving this community. Beyond our professional roles, our chapter invests heavily in NPS youth. Through our signature initiatives, Delta Academy, Delta Gyms, and Embody, we meet monthly to mentor and tutor middle and high school students. These programs provide direct, life-changing benefits by equipping youth with essential life skills, cultural exposure, and targeted academic support. Through these dedicated sessions, we prepare them for the future with a focus on academics, financial literacy, STEM, self-esteem, civic engagement, healthy lifestyles, and career readiness. We also believe deeply in the transformative power of the arts. Through our Delta Arts in the School program, a 20-year collaboration with the Virginia Symphony Orchestra, we brought professional musicians directly into 5 Norfolk elementary schools, introducing instruments like the cello, oboe, and the French horn to over 400 second and third graders. This year, we also extend that exposure by taking our NPS youth to Chrysler Hall to experience The Lion King and to the Harrison Opera House. Empowering the next generation means directly funding their future. This year, our chapter awarded $20,000 in academic scholarship to NPS graduates heading to historically Black colleges and universities. Additionally, through our Grace Branchcombe Community Service Award, we provided laptops and book stipends to college-bound students who demonstrated an outstanding commitment to community involvement. Our presence is continuous, from volunteering at the Unity in the Community Back-to-School event and hosting the St. Helena Winter Wonderland event to supporting the staff and students at Ingleside Elementary School and various district schools with needed classroom supplies. Through these sustained efforts, we remain actively engaged in every corner of our educational community. Chartered in 1929, our chapter has prioritized education, particularly within underserved communities, for over 96 years. As we look to the upcoming year, we intend for our impact to be even greater. In closing, Norfolk Alumni Chapter remains fully committed to standing alongside Norfolk Public Schools as an active and dedicated partner. Together, we can continue to cultivate an environment where every student is supported, empowered, and equipped to achieve their highest potential. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you for your partnership.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Keenan Baskerville.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize for rescheduling some of our meetings. I've recently suffered a loss in my family, and we're working with members to reschedule those dates. I'm Keenan Baskerville. I'm representing New Virginia Majority's education campaign. Will those who are with us please stand? All right, so I wanted to talk with y'all about the EELCs again. I think in its 2 years, things have gone pretty well, but we could still do more for our students. The best parts of the EELCs are their access to experiences and enrichment for our students. I see an opportunity for growing the supports the program provides students. According to the Norfolk Public Schools website, the EELC is supposed to use strategies and programs that create high-quality schools with an integrated approach to academics, health and social services, youth and community development, as well as community engagement, under the principle that families, students, and communities benefit from strong connections between educators, supports, local resources, and people. Basically, this philosophy is powerful, and it should be grown to reach all of Norfolk Public Schools. We've seen that according to your data, lower absenteeism, better behaviors in schools, and in some schools, even before school care. This stands as proof of concept, so what do we need to do to sustain and grow this program? Can we explore the relationship between the EELCs and community schools a bit further? Norfolk Public Schools has laid a foundation worthy of development. Why not keep a good thing going? We could do so much more if we consider the different ways to diversify funding and deliver supports to our students most in need. Let's talk about how we can grow more using the relationship already established in the community school framework and our EELC program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baskerville.
Our next speaker is Elise Macbeth.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Elise McMath. Good evening, Chair Moore Buffalo. Dr. Rose, haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, but I hope you're enjoying Norfolk. I work with Keenan. I'm representing New Virginia Majority. I'm a public education community organizer, former high school ESL and algebra teacher. Joined here tonight by members of our J. Cox Caregivers Group. And I'm really a problem solution kind of person, so I don't want to come up here and say a problem, we don't have a solution for you. So one of the things that is on our mind when we think about these equity and excellence learning centers, so I'll back up a bit. The Equity and Excellence Learning Centers, for those of you who don't know, is a pilot program, just finished year 2, going into year 3. Booker T. Washington High School, Ruffner Middle, PB Young, J. Cox Elementary, and going to year 2, it was extended to Southside STEM Academy. And like Keenan said, we want to keep a good thing going, but we know financial sustainability is a big looming question mark. And like Keenan said, one of the questions that's going through our minds is it possible for the Equity and Excellence Learning Centers to have a relationship with the community school framework? This is sort of like an educational philosophy. You've got the NEA, you've got AFT, they have national institutes dedicated to the community school framework. This is something that school districts across the state are taking advantage of state and federal funding by being in line with this framework. You've got Portsmouth, you've got Hopewell, you've got Petersburg. And really a lot of what we're doing is already there. And so our question is, how can we work together to get us in line with this framework so that we can keep a good thing going? We can grow the EELCs. We can make Norfolk Public Schools eligible for state and federal grants. In doing so, we can fully fund and staff and get the resources at these schools with the highest needs. And we can even grow the program to expand it into other schools across the city. And the beautiful thing about this model is it's more like a philosophy. It's a one-size-fits-all kind of philosophy that has the infrastructure built into it to really get at the root cause of the ways in which poverty really affects the quality of our public schools. We know that every school is different, so when you implement the recipe, you do a needs assessment at every school because every school is different. You map the resources that are available in the neighborhood, and most importantly, you build a community advisory group that's built up primarily of parents and families who know the community better than anyone. So that's what we'd like to partner with you all on, and we hope to continue the conversation. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Raytron White.
Welcome.
My first time here in a long time. I got a couple of awards when I was in high school. Dr. Rose, congratulations. Welcome to Norfolk, the best city in the whole entire country. I want to do some challenges and some things that I think that help me out. And sometimes my grandma always said you got to go back to some of the things she used to do back in the day to get stuff right. And our children just need someone to say they love them. They care about them. So I'm asking the school board and the superintendent to have the people in the different schools to be transparent with the families, the principals, in the community, to see some people like you all on the board out, just not at school things the community are doing. And then they're more respect to you and to the school system and to the teachers and even the custodians. They see them out doing something in the community when the kids are having something in Norfolk. I am challenging you all this year to, even with public house or any kid in Norfolk, to see some stuff besides educational stuff they're doing, because they see your face. They'll start changing. It changed it for me. When I was in school, my librarian took me home for the weekend. I learned how to love cats because of her. And it changed my life. And I'm a really good person in this neighborhood and the city because of what the teachers looked out when my parents couldn't when they were at work. So I'm challenging some of the schools. I know for a fact the teachers and the principals, assistant principals are out in the community doing stuff off of the clock to making sure their kids are having a safe place at home and then showing them that they still love them besides education. And I would like to see that. They're transparent all the principals, the staff at the school, to get out in the neighborhood and to join some of the civic elite people like me in my neighborhood and get them involved so if something happens, they can come reach out to us and we can be a better effect to help them out in their communities. If we do this, I guarantee you we'll have a better school, more attentive kids in school. A lot of kids are still home not knowing some policy that we have from NRHA that the kids have to go to school. If we don't know by the principals and by the people at the school, my child's been out for 45 days, and we don't know that, how can we get that corrected if the school is not being involved with the community and different partners of civic leagues and stuff? So if we try that, I guarantee you, and it has to start at home, and that's with the individual schools in the neighborhoods, to invite them to come out to see what we do and what the neighborhoods has done. And I guarantee you it will be a better outcome with kids going to school, learning, and behaving and talking in a manner to the principals and teachers because they see them out in the communities. Thank you so much. Happy summer.
Happy summer.
Our next speaker is Archie Diana Bacon.
Welcome. Hey, welcome. Good evening, and welcome, Dr. Rose, to our vibrant and diverse city of Norfolk, Virginia, which is the home of the world's largest naval base. My name is Archie Diane Bacon, and I am a proud graduate of the Booker T. Washington High School, historic Booker T. Washington High School. Booker T. Washington High School, John T. West High School, one of Virginia's first accredited public high schools for African Americans, was renamed in 1917 for Booker T. Washington, educator, author, and orator. The school moved to a newly constructed building in 1924, and for decades was Norfolk's only public high school for Black students. Its programs were central to the community. In 1939, 1940, faculty members Arlene Black and Melvin Austin pursued legal action that led to a federal court decision requiring salary equalization for Black and white teachers. In September 1963, students marched to protest poor facilities. Norfolk implemented a desegregation plan in 1970, and the school moved into a new building here in 1974. I have just shared with you the words written on the Booker T. Washington High School's historical highway marker, located on the corner of Virginia Beach Boulevard and Park Avenue in our city of Norfolk, Virginia. This marker stands proudly along with other notable historical highway markers throughout the city of Norfolk. Markers such as MacArthur Memorial and the Addicts Theater. Norfolk should be proud that it is the home of the first accredited high schools for African Americans. I am before you today to express the extreme importance of keeping Booker T. Washington High School open with quality educational curriculums and programs for our students in the city of Norfolk. Let the legacy live on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jasmine Garcia.
Welcome.
Good evening. I do a lot of public speaking, so my voice is a little gone, so bear with me, please. Good evening, Chair Buffalo. Good evening, Dr. Rose. Superintendent Dr. Rose, this is my first time meeting you as well. My name is Jasmine Garcia. I am a mother of 5 children, but 4 of them are Norfolk Public Schools students, and my brother, who was just in the room, is a graduate of Lake Taylor 2024. I'm speaking on 2 topics today. One is the ELCs, and then another is just some resources and supportive efforts for our advisory committees. As the president and founder of Gear Recovery, a community-based organization that serves youth and families, I'm here to express my support for the continued expansion and investment in Norfolk Public Schools Equity Excellence Learning Centers. The ELCs represent more than an after-school program. They are an investment in the whole child and the whole family. They provide academic support, enrichment opportunities, mentorship, and safe spaces where students can learn, grow, and thrive beyond the traditional school day. My daughter was able to attend an EELC at J. Cox Elementary this past year. As a supporter of the community schools models, I had the privilege to be a part of New Virginia Majority's Family Supportive Planning about 3 years ago when they were talking about those community schools models, and I still support the EELCs today. Their success, however, depends on strong partnerships with trusted community organizations, those community-based organizations like my own, Gear Recovery, well, the communities that already are embedded in those neighborhoods where many of the schools are located. We understand the unique strengths and challenges of our communities because we live and work alongside those families every single day. With Gear Recovery's mission being focused on social emotional learning practices, we are hoping to see more of those community partners in the schools that can assist with those very needs. I wanted to also highlight the importance of our advisory committee. So I serve on the School Health Advisory Committee, and I value the different perspectives, of course, to the table. But I believe we can go a step further. When we're discussing issues that directly impact students, their health, wellness, safety, and educational experiences, we should intentionally create opportunities for current students to have voice and choice in those conversations. Youth should not simply be the recipients of those policies and programs. They should be able to help shape and guide them. Our students are experts in their own experiences, of course. They're not adults, but they know what they want. We're not always a person to know what they want. We have to create those safe spaces for them. Their insights can guide us towards those solutions that are more relevant, more effective, and more equitable. So as Norfolk continues to expand those equity excellence learning centers, I also encourage the school board to invest in those partnerships in our youth and really be essential. They would really be essential in that process. So together we can, of course, build a stronger system of support that doesn't just help our students succeed, but our families, and it allows them to be resilient, engaged, and empowered members of our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Bernadine Brown.
Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Bernadine Brown. I used to be a teacher for Norfolk Public School System. My youngest child is 46 years old, so no, I don't have any children or grandchildren at this time in the school system, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I had 3 children by the time I was 17 years old, okay? And I graduated from Norfolk Public School System on time. And the reason I was able to graduate on time is because I had a counselor. Her name is Mrs. Simpson. I'm going to give her kudos. She made sure that I graduated, okay? My 3 sons, which are now 49, 48, and 46, by the way, they are very successful men, because I had boys. They are very successful men in this community. I am here because not only the EELC program and their wraparound services and the fact that it helps the community and the kids do better. I'm here to let you know that if there were not people in my life when I was young in Norfolk to help me succeed and be better. I'm retired now, y'all. By the way, Dr. Rose, thanks for coming on board. If there were not people in my life when I was young to help me see a better life, I grew up in Cary. Look, they don't call it Calvert Square. They call it Cary Park. If they did not, there weren't people around when I was young to help me become successful, I wouldn't be here to talk to you now. So I'm asking you all, the ones who had the power in their hands, to think about this wraparound services. Think about EELC and how it could benefit the students who don't have a chance like I didn't. So I'm not going to keep you long because I could talk forever. But I just want to let you know, think about people like me. I wouldn't have been successful if I hadn't had the opportunity.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, this concludes our speakers for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Lynch. We're going to move on with our agenda 4.09, approval of the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. May I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Slaughter. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Lynch, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
DeCalagero?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Slaughter? Thomas? Buffalo?
Aye. 6.01, CLA Financial Audit Review. Dr. Rose?
This moment, I'm going to invite up our CLA representative, and I know there's a, not just a report, but obviously an opportunity for the board for Q&A as well.
All right, thank you very much for your time this evening. I am Sherry Amos. I'm a principal with Clifton Larson Allen. I'm the one that was responsible for the overall audit engagements for Norfolk Public Schools for fiscal year 2025. I do have a slide presentation. You can go ahead and advance the slide. Thank you. You can keep going. That's just a disclaimer that we're required to have. I'll just quickly go over the audit process, our audit results, the required communications that us as your audit firm are required to make to those charged with governance, and then the GASB pronouncements that we went into effect for the FY 2025. In terms of our audit process, we have a risk-based audit process. This is in accordance with auditing standards by the AICPA. What I mean by risk-based is we don't look at every single dollar in the financial statements. We do have materiality. We also go through a very rigorous process of talking to different folks within the school system, including members of the audit committee, to get their concerns and what they think might be risk within the school system. We take our knowledge from auditing other school systems within the state of Virginia and across the country, and what things that we're seeing and trends that are going on within those school systems in order to be able to design our audit procedures to address those risks. Audit standards do require that we have at least two significant risks in our audit. The first one is management override of controls. That is the best internal control system. If management wanted to override the control processes, they can. So we design our procedures to look for that. And then also revenue recognition as well as also what we consider a significant risk for all of our school systems. You can advance. One more. Thank you. In terms of the audit results, for the financial statement audit, or the audit of the annual comprehensive financial report, we issued an unmodified audit opinion. In layman's terms, this is the best audit opinion I can provide the school system, that the financial statements are not materially misstated. So it's a good audit opinion. So I know it's some terminology there, but at the end of the day, it's a very good audit opinion. In terms of findings, we did have 4 material weaknesses in internal control. The first one was related to financial close and reporting and adjusting journal entries. We had quite a few, 4 significant adjusting journal entries that we detected as the audit firm when we were going through the books and the records. One being related to capital projects. They were not closed out in a timely manner and made sure that they were capitalized. That resulted in a restatement, actually. It was prior year's capital projects that should have been capitalized. And then we had 3 other adjustments related to accounts receivable being overstated and the revenue being overstated. These were in the grants fund, and there was also one in the general fund. Therefore, our recommendation related to the capital projects is to make sure that at the end of the year, we have a very good understanding of what comprises the construction and process at the end of the year, what the status of those projects are, and then making sure based on those statuses that we are properly closing out as necessary in a timely manner to make sure we start depreciating those assets timely. Related to the accounts receivable overstatements, again, making sure that we have a good understanding of what is an accounts receivable at year end and making sure that they are going to be collectible. In some cases, we had some duplication, some over accruals. So really just taking maybe a little bit more time to go through and make sure we understand what's in those accounts and that they are actually collectible at the end of the year. Our second finding is related to the Southern Eastern Cooperative Educational Program. By the nature of that program, they are part of the financial reported entity of the school system. Again, a very similar finding related to accounts receivable. There was an overstatement of revenue and receivable in that program related to duplicate invoice that was recorded for services charged to a member school system. So same recommendation, making sure we have a good understanding what's in accounts payable and making sure that they're fully collectible at the end of the year. That's our recommendation. Our third finding is related to cutoff of accounts payable and expenses. At the end of the year, when you're closing out the books, there always is invoices that are received after fiscal year end June 30th that are related to goods and services that were performed or received prior to June 30th. We found several invoices where the expenses was recorded in the fiscal year 2026 when they actually related to goods or services for fiscal year 2025 and should have been recorded in fiscal year 2025. So this would be our recommendation to make sure that in July, August, maybe even in September, as we're getting some late invoices coming in, making sure we have good procedures to ensure that we know when those goods and services were received and we're recording into the correct fiscal year. And lastly, our last material weakness was related to reporting to the Auditor of Public Accounts. The school system is responsible for a number of reporting requirements to the Commonwealth of Virginia's APA. We had this is a 2-part finding. The first one is there is a required school report that's to be filed each year with the APA. When we looked at that report, it did not reconcile to the underlying accounting records that we were auditing. So making sure that we have the books closed out in time to be able to accurately report to the APA the financial results and that they align with the books that we're using as far as the financial statements that are being audited by CLA. And then the second part related to the APA reporting is you're required to report annual unclaimed property to the state treasurer, and that was not reported by November 1st per the Commonwealth's requirements. Next slide. The second audit that we perform for the school system is actually a combined audit with the city of Norfolk. This is related to the single audit or an audit of your federal grant awards. As I said, this is a combined audit with the city. For that audit, we audited 2 grant programs, the Child Nutrition Cluster, and also the ESSER, the COVID ESSER funding as well. That was specific for the school system. We audited other programs of the city that are unrelated. We had 2 significant deficiencies based on that audit. The first one was related to the ESSER programs. There was 2 timesheets that we reviewed as part of our allowable cost testing that were not reviewed by management and approved prior to the payment being made. So we just recommend that we're ensuring that any expenses that are charged to federal programs, they're reviewed to ensure that they're allowable under the program cost. And the second one was related to child nutrition cluster. The school system is required to report to the feds, actually through the state to the feds, monthly the meal counts for reimbursement under the child nutrition program. And we looked at 3 of those monthly reports and noted that all 3 of them, again, were not reviewed prior to submission for reimbursement. So we recommend that there's as a control, that somebody else is reviewing them to make sure the counts are correct, so that you're getting reimbursed properly from the state and federal government. But overall, we issued an unmodified opinion on compliance for those programs. Next slide. We also look at the student activity funds. This is a cash basis statement. We received an unmodified audit opinion. Again, another clean, good audit opinion. We did have one finding related to that. Again, 2-parter related to unreconciled activity. We had 13 schools where the reconciled bank balance did not agree to the financial system UNIS. And then we had 19 schools where there were some unreconciled differences in the bank statement that had been lingering. So we want to make sure that we are reconciling all of those individual schools and that they are properly recorded in the financial system. So not large dollars with the student activity funds, but there was quite a few schools that we noted that in. We had 2 management letter recommendations as part of our audit. The first one being related to the general fund being overspent. The pupil transportation category was overspent by $465,000. So we want to make sure that we are making any kind of budget adjustments prior to the end of the year to ensure no categories being overspent from a budgetary perspective. And then from an IT lens, we noted that there were some terminated users in the network and financial system that were not removed in a timely manner. Again, want to make sure that we are frequently reviewing the list of access to our systems and making sure those employees are still, A, with the school system, and B, that they're getting the access that they need for their position and no more than what they need. Sometimes we have access creep, I'd say, when people kind of change positions or start doing more and they end up getting more access than maybe they actually do need at the end of the day. So that would be our recommendation, to have some kind of routine review, whether it be semi-annual, annual, or something like that. Some additional required communications. We thank everybody at the school system for their participation in the audit. We receive very good support in terms of getting things that we need, working through any questions that we have from a lot of different departments, not just finance, but as you see, we look at IT, payroll, a lot of different areas. So we are definitely appreciative of all the support that we get from management. There was no significant issues that were discussed, and we were told that there was no other consultations with other accountants on anything that we brought to management's attention. The one difficulty we did have, again, this year was that the audit was delayed due to some turnover in the finance department and trying to get everything completed. While the school system does not have a regulatory deadline, the city of Norfolk has a December 15th regulatory deadline, and the school system's financial statements are incorporated into the city's financial statements. We issued the school system audit January 26th, which is about a month and a half after the December 15th reporting deadline for the city. So the city ended up being late for their regulatory requirement with the Commonwealth's API. And then lastly, the financial statements do have estimates in them. Future outcomes could be a little bit different than what those estimates are. The estimates have not changed from last year. They are still related to the OPEB liability, your pension liability. Those are actuarial liabilities on which we receive actuarial reports in order to help us determine what that looks like. And the current but not reported claims related to self-insurance, again, is another actuary report that the school system engages in, and then we use to be able to rely on their work to record those estimates. Depreciation, leases, and compensated absence are other estimates that are in the financial statements. They're not maybe quite as significant as the OPEB and pension liability, but there are some assumptions that go into all three of those as well. Again, these are very routine estimates that you all have had for many years, and all school boards have as well, so nothing new or out of the norm. And then lastly, we did have 2 accounting pronouncements that we implemented for fiscal year 2025. This is the most stimulating part of my presentation, so hold on. The first one is related to compensated absences. Compensated absences are when you offer your employees different types of leave, whether it be sick leave, vacation leave, parental leave, those kinds of things, where the employee has accrued the time, but not actually taken the time at year end. So there is a liability that is associated with that because they can take it in the upcoming years, or in some cases, not necessarily here, may be paid out as well. So the accounting standard related to compensated absences was the one previous to GASB 101 was quite old and outdated. So the Accounting Standards Board decided to revisit this because in the current environment, there's a lot more different types of leave nowadays than there was maybe 20 or 30 years ago. So I know usually it was vacation and sick leave. Now we've got paid time off, we've got parental leave, military leave, and all kinds of benefits to entice our workers, but then could also add a liability in the financial statement. So was the whole premise under GASB 101, is to kind of catch up the accounting related to what is going on in the benefits offered at governments across the country. And then the last one, this was it was not significant at all for the school system, but it's one we did have to look at. 102 is related to certain risk disclosures. This will be if a government has a concentration of revenue in one source. For example, if they have a major employer in the area, and that's a major tax base, that would be a concentration of revenue, or a constraint on resources where you're required to spend money that's becoming difficult, whether it be, for example, collective bargaining agreements are increasing expenses, where maybe you have expenses increasing, but you can't by law raise your tax base, things of that nature. In order for this to be a disclosure in the financial statements, there has to be a triggering event that causes it. So in my example, if you had a major taxpayer that was part of your tax base, they would have to go bankrupt for that to be a triggering event to be disclosed in the financial statements. Just having them as a major employer is not enough to warrant a disclosure. But if that concentration then becomes an issue where it could affect the financials in the upcoming years, you're required to disclose it. So there were no significant concentrations or constraints that we noted for the school system for this year. It's one of those standards we'll continue to evaluate every year. If something does arise, we'll make sure it's included for the financial statement users. And that's all I had for today. Be glad to take any questions you all might have.
Well, school board members, you've heard the presentation. Are there any questions?
Oh, Madam Chair.
Oh, Ms. Basine?
What?
Just joking.
Well, I appreciate the responses that I received to the questions I submitted ahead of the meeting. So I appreciate some of the clarity that I was provided. If you can elaborate a little more around, so this is an unmodified opinion. There's nothing out of the ordinary that was observed through this audit. Correct? I mean, I'm understanding that all correctly. Right.
So it was an unmodified opinion. What that opinion means is that during our audit, the financial statements are not materially misstated.
Right.
We did have the findings that I went through.
Right,
so there
right.
were some adjustments that we noted that were made in order to make sure they were not materially misstated.
Correct, right.
Which is why we bring them as findings.
Right. But what I mean is, it's not uncommon to what you see in other districts.
I wouldn't say it's uncommon. Probably the number of Justine journal entries is a little high from what we normally see in a school system.
Okay.
But given the fact that there's been a turnover and all, I don't think it's unusual.
Okay. I mean, just from having been in the seat, it seemed higher for Norfolk than what we've seen in the past. And so that kind of raised, for me anyway, what we can do better. And there are several questions that I don't know that you can answer, but us as a team can put in place in terms of those internal controls that are discussed in the report and stuff. So those are things that I think we need to keep a close eye on. And this is something, and I'm bringing it up because, we talked about this last year and I think the year before in terms of keeping a close eye, especially around the delays that we've had. And one of the things that came up in your presentation with our city council a few months ago was that these delays have been happening for up to 5 years, I think. And that was unknown to the school board, and including a council member who was a previous school board member. So I just I hope that we as a team, build those communication structures in place where we are all aware of, and this is not directed at you, it's directed at, I guess us as a team and how we communicate, that we're aware of what the structure is going to be, and in terms of the timelines, and that if there are delays, that the board is brought up to speed on what that is and what we're doing to rectify it. So, I want to acknowledge that, and I think that's important for us to be transparent and around that piece.
All 5 of those years that were brought up with the city council, the city was not late in terms of past the December 15th deadline all 5 of those years. I think the couple of the earlier years, we were right up on that deadline, issuing both at the exact same time.
Okay.
I think 3 years ago, literally slid you both in at the same time, which is a little bit of a finagle, dance I have to do internally to make sure that you guys are issued literally right before or at the same time as the city. So while they weren't all late, the timeline kept getting later and later.
Okay. Dr. Rose, have a comment?
Yeah, I think it's important, even during my short time. One thing I have noticed is, number one, engagement with this audit prior to this meeting. So our team, we've had some meetings to ensure that we have some checks and balances for the future. We do know that we have a new and complete team in finance currently. I am appreciative of the ongoing conversations that we've been having with the city as it relates to our finances, which are not about just this audit, but ongoing. In fact, I think we have a meeting tomorrow. So we're continuing to ensure that our communication is very clear with the city, because we have made the clear statement in our last meeting with the city council, or at least I did on our behalf, that being tardy will not happen anymore. And so now we have some systems and structures and a calendar in place to ensure that's not the case. And even if we were to even worry about that, we would send up the flags early. So not only would the board know, but the city would know, so that we could put anything in place to ensure, once again, that we're on time. So I think those are all things really important. It's really, really a good thing to go through a process like this so that we can, clear up and shore up some of our shortcomings of the past, but also to be aware that we're doing things differently, I know, today than we were even a year ago, and that's, right, our focus is a continual improvement organization, so I'm pleased about that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Anyone else? All right, thank you.
Very much appreciate your time this evening.
We're going to move down to 6.02 WHRO presentation. Welcome, gentlemen. He's not going to join you at the podium? No, you're going to cheer him on from the side?
He's
Okay.
happy there.
Yes.
Moral support.
Chairwoman Buffalo, Dr. Rose, members of the board, thank you for allowing me to speak with you tonight. My name is Bert Schmidt. I'm the president and CEO of WHRO. It is really a pleasure to be back here. It's been a few years, so it's nice to get back in front of you. For those of you who are relatively new and wonder why I'm here today, you are one of 21 school divisions that literally own the license to WHRO. We're the only media company in the entire country owned by collaboration of school divisions. Back in 1961, in fact, this body, the Norfolk School Board, under the leadership of Vince Thomas, and the Hampton School Board, under the leadership of Hunter Andrews, got together and decided to do distance learning using that new technology of television back in 1961. They created Homeroom 1, which became WHRO. That's what we stand for. Today, we're owned by 21 school divisions, and we meet regularly with the superintendents, the school board representatives, and a number of the cabinet members to bring together and discuss education strategy for the entire region. We do it in a way that saves taxpayers money and improve the educational products and services that our students and teachers get. Each year, we provide you with what we call an impact statement. This is customized to each of our 21 divisions. You get this each year, and normally I would come every other year and do a quick little report. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. You're going to be very happy to hear. But we have prepared a very brief video that will kind of summarize what you'll find in this report. And if we could play the video, that'd be great.
WHRO stands out as the nation's sole public media station owned by a collaboration of 21 school divisions. This distinctive ownership model places education at the heart of our mission, influencing every aspect of our work. Our team of educators is committed to offering students, teachers, and families innovative, free, high-quality programs and services. One key service that WHRO offers is eMedia VA, Virginia's leading digital content repository. With nearly 100,000 free, top-quality instructional resources, eMedia VA provides educators and students with videos, interactive tools, games, lesson plans, images, and more. This platform is designed to enhance personalized learning and make classroom experiences more engaging. For our youngest learners, WHRO offers exciting educational activities to spark their imagination. Our 3 education vans visit elementary schools with programs tailored to Virginia's standards of learning, covering literacy, numeracy, scientific investigation, and technology. We also support parents and caregivers, ensuring children are prepared for kindergarten and set up for success in their early school years. For secondary educators, WHRO provides a catalog of 29 award-winning, customizable online courses and digital resources. These media-rich SOL-aligned courses are designed to integrate seamlessly with various learning management systems. They offer flexibility for face-to-face, flipped, blended, and fully online teaching environments, enriching lessons with engaging content. At WHRO, we celebrate student achievements through competitions that showcase their talents. The Great Computer Challenge, for example, gathers school teams from across the region at Old Dominion University to tackle real-world technology problems. Another highlight is the Town Bank Regional Spelling Bee, where middle school champions compete at WHRO's studio for a chance to advance to the Scripps National Spelling Bee. The local competition is recorded and aired on WHRO each April. Elementary students also have an opportunity to shine through our PBS Kids Writers Contest. This competition invites young writers to craft and illustrate their original stories, fostering creativity and critical thinking. Our Student Advisory Board reflects our commitment to student engagement. This group of high school students offers feedback on WHRO's content and has opportunities to create their own, influencing our online courses and eMedia VA resources. We're equally devoted to supporting educators through our professional development programs. Our workshops and training sessions provide teachers with cutting-edge strategies and tools, empowering them to inspire and guide their students effectively. Visit WHRO's education webpage to learn more about how these amazing free materials, programs, and resources can benefit you. At WHRO Public Media, we're proud to partner with our local school divisions and the Virginia Department of Education to shape the future of education one student at a time.
I promised I would not go through the report, but because you're a school board and you care about the money, I'm going to direct your attention to page 13. You invest each year in WHRO a little over $3 per student. And I should mention, by the way, this report is from fiscal year 25. The fiscal year 26 report will be coming out this summer. So this is a little dated. But in the fiscal year 25, you invested $88,000 and received savings in value of $829,000, a 9-to-1 return on your investment. My VP of Education, Elmer Seward, is here, so if you have questions, and if they're hard, I got my backup with me. So I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
As school board members, you've seen the presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, well, Dr. Rose has a question.
Well, maybe just a point. Return on investment you mentioned. I think it's also important for us to note that the return on investment for us is also aligned to how we utilize and how we partner.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, for us just to invest and then potentially not partner or communicate with our schools some of the resources, then we may not be having some of that return on investment. So that's really important. And I want to appreciate the opportunity to sit and talk with you. I appreciate your just welcoming spirit, but also walking me through some future opportunities on how we can partner, including making sure that we invited you to our meeting. So I just want to say thank you for that.
And again, these reports are customized to the division, so you can see how much you're utilizing our services.
Yes, it's nice to see you on this side of the water.
It'll be everywhere.
You have a question?
I just wanted to say thank you. It has been a while since we've had you here, and to kind of see the overview of what our investment, the return on the investment. And I appreciate Dr. Rose's comments about how we utilize and leverage this very valuable resource that we have in front of us, and how we take advantage of it. Which did make me, and this isn't necessarily a question for you, Mr. Smith, but for Dr. Rose perhaps, and Dr. Pohl. I don't know if this is something that's allowable, but would a resource like this, especially aligned with it being aligned to the SOLs and to the standards within it, if a student were participating in some of this programming, would it count towards some attendance recovery? Or I mean, I'm just saying, because during COVID, I know I know how valuable this resource was for our students, right? I mean,
So our teachers have full access to this, and we can use it. The attendance recovery part, though, has to be live, right? So as long as the teacher's in the room helping to support, that's fine. The other thing that the board may not realize is our senior coordinator of our instructional technology and virtual scholars academy, Dr. Edwards, actually worked with WHRO before coming here, so he is very aware of everything. So we integrate it wherever we can.
Okay, so is the answer potentially?
And some of it is very possibly being used right now for that reason with the teachers, because they have full access to it. And we're building it into our Canvas courses.
Courses are built to be used with teachers. They're not supposed to be just off on your own for a semester.
Okay, so there's no asynchronous
And remember,
application
asynchronous
errors.
doesn't count towards the attendance recovery either.
It's all asynchronous.
Okay, I guess that you answered my question then. All right, thank you.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Slitz. We'll see you next year.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Good seeing everybody. Take care.
We're going to move down to 6.03, monthly financial report. Mr. Starks.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the school board, Dr. Rose, and members of the public. This evening, I will provide a brief overview of the division's financial position as of May 31st, 2026, and highlight several budget accounts that currently reflect negative available balances. Year-to-date revenues total approximately $415 million, or 87.2% of the approved budget. Expenditures and encumbrances total approximately $432 million, representing 90.8% of the annual budget. At this point in the fiscal year, these percentages are consistent with expected year-end spending patterns and reflect the timing of revenue collections, payroll obligations, contracted services, and outstanding purchase orders. State revenues have been received at approximately 86% of the budgeted levels, while city revenues have reached nearly 89% of budget. I would like to highlight 6 budget areas that currently reflect negative available balances and explain the factors contributing to those variances. The most significant variances with special education purchase services, which reflect a negative balance of approximately $3.4 million. This variance is primarily driven by increased costs associated with contract specialized services, private placements, and other mandated supports required to meet individualized needs of students. These expenditures are non-discretionary and are closely monitored throughout the fiscal year. Finance and Student Services staff continue to review these costs and identify available offsets where appropriate. Operation and maintenance utilities currently reflect a negative balance of $2.4 million. The primary drivers are higher than anticipated utility costs, including electricity, natural gas, and water services. Rising utility costs continue to affect school divisions across the Commonwealth and remain an area of concern. Classroom instruction salaries and wages reflect a negative balance of approximately $1.4 million. This variance is due to staffing adjustments made during the year to support instructional needs, substitute coverage, compensation adjustments, and other personnel-related expenditures necessary to ensure continuity of classroom instruction. The non-regular day school program reflects a negative balance of approximately $1 million within employee benefits. This variance is associated with benefit costs that exceeded the original projections and reflects changes in staffing and health benefits and benefit allocations during the fiscal year. Student attendance and health purchase services reflect a negative balance of approximately $633K. This increase is primarily related to contracted services and student support activities that were necessary to meet operational and student wellness requirements throughout the year. Finally, the school social workers program reflects a negative balance of approximately $410K. This variance is due to personnel and benefit costs associated with maintaining critical student support services. Given the increasing social, emotional, and behavior needs of students, these services remain a priority for the division. Although these accounts currently show negative balances, it is important to note that budget management occurs at both the departmental and division-wide level. Business and finance staff are actively reviewing available balances, expenditure trends, and year-end adjustments to ensure that all expenditures remain within the approved budget. In summary, the division reflects financial stability, revenues continue to perform as expected, and we are actively managing a few areas experiencing spending pressures as we prepare for fiscal year-end closeout. We will continue to monitor expenditures closely and provide the board updates as we complete the final month of the fiscal year 2026. Madam Chair, this concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
School board members, you've heard the report. Are there any questions? Ms. Basine?
Okay, and Mr. Paulson, I'll let him go
Oh,
first.
Colonel Paulson, then Ms. Basine.
Last year, we had reversionary funds, unspent funds that will be returned to us. Do you expect that we'll have any this year?
I'd expect that we will have reversion
Okay.
funds.
We're living closer to the edge.
I like how you said that, we're living closer to the edge.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Ms. Basine?
So I had a similar question in regards to the amount of unspent funds, which based on this report, I didn't see that. So you're just confirming that
That's not going to be an issue this year.
that's not going to be an issue. Okay. And so with that, and that's been a long time since we've been in this position. So that's why I'm confirming, was confirming what I was seeing and with that. And I appreciate you answering I did just see the responses to my questions. I do have a couple follow-up, though. Regarding the over expenditure of $3.4 million in purchase services for special education, I think you mentioned is due to increased costs of those services. Is it also increased need, like students in need of services as well? Or is it just the cost of the services going up?
Absolutely.
So if you recall in past reports, even though our student numbers are declining, our students with disability population is increasing.
Right.
So it's a mix of both, really, of what you're asking.
Okay.
And then, additionally, where we weren't able to staff positions, we knew that we would use contract services for those and use staff savings to cover some of that cost as we went along. So that was some of the monitoring that Mr. Starks was talking about.
Okay.
Really, it was something where we couldn't put that much into contract services, knowing that we really wanted the staffing for it. And same thing with the next budget. We really want to staff those positions, but if we can't, we have a legal obligation to fill those positions, which is where we rely on our contract services.
Okay, so that's kind of where I was going to go next, is that as we budget for, the staffing piece, how do we do that but I get it that if we can't, then, we can't. But the other part, so don't go too far, because the other part was the private placements. And so are we seeing an increase also in private, students needing private placements as well, which is also driving some of that cost?
Your turn.
Yeah.
So the short answer is yes. As we have conversations around increased mental health, social emotional needs, what that ends up looking like for students with disabilities is the potential for more restrictive environments. And so we're finding more and more that as IEP teams meet to discuss student needs, we're finding that there are more students that need a more restrictive environment, which may include like a private day placement or a public day school like a CSEP, that kind of thing. So, over the last 3 to 4 years, we've increased quite a bit. Now, this year is pretty stable to last school year, but like I said, we've generally increased our area of need in that over the last couple of, for instance, our CSEP commitments have increased quite a bit, those kinds of things. So.
Right. Okay, but even private day placements, those also have increased. And so with that, so I'm thinking about even with the Children's Services Act and the funds related to that, have there been changes at that level in terms of how much our division is receiving? And
So, first, in terms of where you're seeing these costs increasing, that's going to be more attributed to our CSEP tuitions than they are to private day, because as you noted, many of our private day students, we do receive funding support through CSA.
Okay.
However, CSA does not cover everything, and yes, more recently, there's a gap between what CSA will cover and what school divisions have to make up the difference for, and so we're still debating that through our community, policy meeting team structure. So.
Okay, all right, thank you, I appreciate that clarification.
You have another question? Colonel Paulson has a question as well, Ms. Basine.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, I don't.
Okay, Colonel Paulson.
Back to the funding. As we see the general population of the school decreasing, Of course, our funding is based on the number of students, so we're losing money in that area. But as our students in the SPED area increases, and how much is uncovered that we will have to try to fund, you know?
Short answer is I don't have an actual.
Well, not an actual, 10%, 15, I mean, you know.
I wouldn't even be comfortable making an educated
Okay.
guess. But I can say, in terms of, you know, as you noted, our local funding is based on overall enrollment, right? Or, you know, student counts. But in terms of our federal funding, it's never been funded, even prior to like increased costs. It's never been funded even nearly what was promised through IDEA. But in terms of us seeing an increase in our enrollment, no, we're not, and I think I discussed that a little bit too during the annual plan presentation. We're not seeing a corresponding increase in the federal portion of the funding. And so for context, you know, we submitted the division's annual plan application by VDOE's due date, and they've returned it for us to make a few corrections actually as of today. But my point in bringing that up is the state has already announced projected awards. So in other words, they haven't even fully approved the application, but they've already communicated this is what your award is going to be. So it's not following, you know, our increased needs.
We have a lot of area to try to adjust our funding for next year's budget then. Is that correct? Would that be?
Because you're,
because of these changes or events that come along, we are really short in the budget area for next year, correct? And covering all of our expenses because of the rise in SPED expenses.
Right, so to answer your question is, ironically, we were actually just discussing this yesterday, how we're going to meet that challenge.
Okay.
So we are actively looking at what reprogramming actions we need to make in the upcoming school year to address actually the questions both you and Ms. Basine have asked.
Okay.
So it's on our radar, we're working it actively.
Thank you, sir.
All right, with no more questions, may I have a motion to approve the monthly financial report subject to audit?
I move to approve the monthly, expansion.
Monthly financial report subject to audit.
The monthly financial report.
Subject to audit.
Oh, you have to say, okay. Let me write that. Subject to audit.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. DeCalagero. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Lynch, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Calgero?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Slaughter?
Aye.
Thomas? Buffalo?
Aye. We're going to move down to 6.04, appointment of superintendent designee, Dr. Rose.
Being new to Virginia, this concept as well is new to me. So if you do not have the form as it relates to designees, I can tell you that the three designees in my absence I added there would be Dr. Paul Rick Fraley and Sherry Agnew Scott. I also learned that there is potential to change those at any time throughout the year. And if so, I would make a different recommendation, of course, bring that to the board for approval.
Okay, you've heard Dr. Rose's recommendation for Dr. James Pohl, Dr. Sherry Agnew Scott, and Mr. Richard C. Fraley to be his designee in his absence. May I have a motion to that effect?
I move.
To accept the nominees for the superintendent's designees.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Any discussion? Well, they're his recommendations. So.
Yes, they must bring snacks. Because Dr. Rose does not. He eats them, but he does not bring them.
Thank you. Ms. Lynch, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
DeCalagero?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Slaughter?
Aye.
Thomas? Buffalo.
Aye. 6.05 NPS academic calendar for school years 27-28. Dr. Rose.
I wrote down my comments for this because having navigated calendar discussions over the years, I have learned these decisions are rarely easy. They actually remind me of snow day decisions. So even when a decision is reasoned, not everyone will agree with the outcome. That's understandable because calendars impact time, and time is perhaps our most valuable resource and commodity. So Dr. Pohl in our last meeting did an excellent job presenting the options and leading the discussion at, once again, our last meeting. Before you vote tonight, let me simply summarize the leadership team's perspective. Calendar A. While we recognize there are differing perspectives, this remains the leadership team's preferred option because we believe it provides the strongest alignment to maximizing student learning time, providing greater clarity around teacher professional learning and workdays, and addressing some of the concerns that staff has expressed over the structure of previous and our current calendar. Calendar B, while not the leadership team's preferred option, we also need to recognize its strengths. Number one, staff feedback. Particularly from our teachers, it showed stronger support for this calendar. It preserves greater continuity with the current calendar and requires fewer changes for staff and families. And so I think it's important that I want to acknowledge that some may wonder whether preferring calendar A means that we have not listened to our teachers. That's not the case. Their feedback has definitely been heard. It's been debated, and it's valued and carefully considered. Leadership's responsibility, however, is to balance the input with instructional priorities, operational realities, and what we believe is the best position for our division for success. Now, finally, I'll remind us that while this is an important decision, it's not a defining one. So no calendar is perfect, and no calendar alone determines the success of a school year. The real work, which we also discussed last meeting, happens as it relates to our commitment to how we use and maximize every instructional minute that we have for learning, regardless of the calendar. So with that, I will hand this over to Madam Chair and the board for the vote.
Okay, so you've heard Dr. Rowe's comments around the academic calendar for school year 27-28. May I have a motion? Well, yeah. So we have two calendars. We have an A and a B calendar. May I have we'll take a vote on both. Well, we'll take a vote on A, and if that doesn't pass, then we'll go to B. One will show the majority of where we support. Oh, yeah. So may I have a motion on the floor to approve calendar A?
In order to get to a point of discussion, I'm going to put
I have to have a motion on the floor and a second before we can even have a discussion around the calendar.
I'm going to put a motion on the floor to adopt calendar option A for the school year 2027-28.
Second. Ms. Thomas, thank you. Second. Any discussion? Ms. DeCalagero.
I actually have a different motion that I would like us to consider, but we have to get through this motion first.
Well, you can amend this.
I can't amend it, but I want to get some body language first.
Okay. Okay.
House Bill 1455, Senate Bill 815 is now part of Virginia Code 22.1-79.1. And it states, extends from no earlier than 14 days before Labor Day to no earlier than 14 days before September 1st of each year the requirement relating to the earliest date that each school board is permitted to schedule as the first day on which students are required to attend school every year. So what that is saying, as of July 1 this year, school divisions can can start as early as September 17th. One of the
August 7th.
August 17th. See, I'm still in the September mindset. Thank you. August 17th. So what I am pointing out is one of the things that was unliked about option A was that it felt the calendar went too far into June. We now have the ability to consistently start our school year on the same day of the month in August. Whereas now we are waylaid by the fact that Labor Day moves around. So this year Labor Day is a later date. For 27, Labor Day is a later date, so we start the school year later. So we have started as early as I think the 17th, and the 27 calendar has us starting in 23. So I would really encourage this board to not pass this motion and consider asking the calendar committee to go back and come up with another option that incorporates the flexibility we now have with our start date that we did not have prior to this bill being passed. It would allow more time for our AP scholars to be in school during the 27-28 school year before they take exams. It would also allow us to have a consistent start date from year to year that isn't beholden to the date of Labor Day. So we could be starting consistently around mid-August as opposed to having to adjust every year because of Labor Day.
Ms. Basine?
Yes. So I think that's a really interesting suggestion, and I wonder with this bill being passed, if this is something that the administration has already considered, looked at, kind of mapped it out in any way. I'd like to hear more from the administration's perspective on whether this was already kind of knowing it was perhaps coming down the pipeline, that you mapped it out just in case that was a viable option.
How about I start and Dr. Poole can add to or subtract from if I make a mistake. So only recently have we looked at the option, right? Very recently, based upon this conversation that we're having now. What we know is, what I believe we know, is that, well, it's not a guarantee. We, of course, have to go through a process and almost apply with the state for approval. So we do know that it's not something we can immediately just do or let the state know. We need to find the most strategic way, of course, to request. Number two, I think that one thing to consider, and that's really up to the board, is that would put us at a start date, at least for this year, not to Ms. DiCaligero's point on consistency, because I think that's a really important point, but it would, in this particular calendar, would have us start on a Wednesday, which I think may add some complications. So, Dr. Poole, I probably missed some things. What do you?
So the new legislation that literally just passed. So we started working on the calendar in January before the legislation was even introduced. So it wasn't really a part of discussions for this year. The midweek start would be a little wonky, I think. I do like the thought of the consistency because it would be August 17th every year, unless it fell on a weekend, and of course it would be the Monday after. The difference that would cause, though, is every year, it would be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday for the start date, because that's going to alter throughout the calendar years, which I think would be even more confusing for families if we are not starting on a Monday. The other concern, which is why I expressed if the will of the board was to do this, we would have to go back to the calendar committee, have to go back to a survey again, because we're also then taking the summer of 2027 and we're taking a week off of it. And this board remembers when we did the transition to starting 2 weeks before Labor Day, that was a large complication and really affected beginning of the year attendance. There was a lot of upset parents, that were very, they were very vocal about it. Now, we've gotten beyond that, right? Because like Dr. Rose introed, it's a calendar, and once we put it into place, it starts to become habit. So, no, it hasn't really been. That's the level of discussion because it is newer legislation. And this legislation, Dr. Rose, it allows the 14 days before with no request to the VDOE. Instead of the 2 weeks before Labor Day, now they've changed the law to say 2 weeks before Labor Day or 14 days before September 1st, without having to ask the VDOE for permission. If we went further back, we would then have to ask the VDOE for permission on that.
But we do not have to
But-
ask for this 14 days, right?
For the 14 days with the new law, there is no permission required for that. But, again, if it's the will of the board to do that, it must go back out to the community, and they have to get some feedback, because, again, they would see this as a fluctuating, summer, at the end of the summer as we do something like that. So some of it would see it as an earlier start. But to be honest, some of the comments from, like, Teacher Forum, in fact, there was some confusion there, thinking that we were only starting a week before Labor Day, and we're supposed to start 2 weeks before Labor Day, but Labor Day being so late, it does make it feel like we are having a late start.
Okay, so are there any other questions with this motion to approve calendar A for the physical school year 27-28?
I have another question. Oh, and I'm sorry, Mr. Paulson has his hand up. So is it also true, though, I'm thinking about Mr. Calagero's proposition, could it have the potential to allow greater instructional time and preparation, especially for secondary students taking AP exams?
For the students who take AP exams, this would put 4 days more instruction in front of those exams. For what we talked about for the students are the majority taking the SOLs, no matter what, there's new legislation out on that as well that says those have to be the last 2 weeks of school. So it doesn't matter how that works out. And the thought, I think Mr. Calagero's thought is, and correct me if I'm wrong, if we start on the 17th, we end the week of Memorial Day like we have the past couple of years. So we take that week that tagged at the end for option A, where we got the feedback from the teachers saying it was too long, and put it to the front. Is kind of the thought process. So we would gain 4 days instead of 5 days, but it would still be a gain of time prior to AP testing.
Because my understanding was that a lot of the objection was to ending the school year and a week into June.
The majority of comments were around that additional week after Memorial Day, and worry about instructional time. However, with the legislation change, that'll be SOL testing. So there's going to be instruction going on during that time for the vast majority of our students, because we're going through. And to be honest, Mr. Brady and I were talking about it earlier today, in fact, about the C&I team and their excitement about changing all of our course mapping and curriculum mapping, being able to extend it further than what we have, because testing is going to be extended so much further.
And so along those lines, so what about also dual enrollment? So would that also?
Would actually help with.
Well, that's what I was going to say, like the earlier, again, Mr. Calagero's point, I mean, not just thinking about AP students, but as we work to increase our dual enrollment opportunities, I think that would be more in alignment with that schedule, if I'm not mistaken.
Again, it would depend on the year. Sometimes our start date aligns well with TCC start date. Our goal really is to have more of our teachers certified to teach it, so then it would kind of vary, and it wouldn't make a difference, because we really want our teachers certified to teach it, which is why, this budget year, we're dedicating some of the course reimbursement funding specifically for teachers to get their dual enrollment certification, so that we have that more in-house and we don't have to rely on TCC staff as much.
All right, is there anyone else?
Yes.
Colonel Polson?
Yes, thank you. You mentioned that the calendar A was the leadership was promoting that. I didn't hear who's promoting B. When you first said, who's supporting? The what?
The community.
The community. Okay.
Yeah, I think the data that we looked at last week shows that the majority, and of course depends on the subgroup, but still the majority does align to calendar B, which is also more traditional for us. But also significantly, I think it was 66, 67% of our teachers specifically wanted calendar B over A.
And if I can add one comment, I would just want to tie into our conversation earlier that Ms. McGarity presented on chronic absenteeism. And I know it doesn't seem like much, but option A puts us back at 180 days, which means it's an 18-day limit for chronic absenteeism, where right now we follow a 17-day limit for chronic absenteeism. So it actually would shift some of that data naturally because we have more school year. Because even though we are at 175 or 6 days right now, it counts as 17. We can't do 17.6 days for attendance. That has to follow the 17.
And calendar A has more instructional days. Yep. All right, any more questions? Ms. Lynch, please call the roll for the motion on the floor. I'm going to state it again, to approve calendar A for school year 27-28.
Seen?
I support option A, but I do want to acknowledge and show support for the 28-29 school year, that we do have an option that aligns to the new legislation for consideration. So with that, I say aye.
DeCalagero?
Nay.
Martin?
Aye.
Olson?
Nay?
Slaughter?
Aye, with the same caveat that Ms. Basine stated, please.
Thomas?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye. Motion passes. We're going to move down to 6.06. May I have a motion to go into closed session, executive session?
I move that we go into closed executive session.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. DeCalagero, and second by, who was that? Y'all was so quick with it, Dr. Martin. Matt, any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Lynch, please read the motion.
Move that the members of the school board of the city of Norfolk go into a closed meeting for the purposes which are set out in subsection A of section 2.2-3711 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as amended for A, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment or of assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, discipline, or resignation of specific officers, appointees, or employees of the school board pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A1 of the Act. The subject covered by this exemption is the discussion and decision of an employee grievance of a termination, which has previously heard by a hearing officer pursuant to section 22.1-311 of the Code of Virginia. B, consultation for legal counsel regarding specific legal matters requiring the provisions of legal advice by counsel pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A8 of the Act. The subject covered by this exemption is consultation in connection with the matters set out above the subsection A of this motion, but only to assist the board in writing its decision in the grievance after the board has made and publicly announced its decision as authorized by subsection E of section 22.1-313 of the Code of Virginia. Basine?
Aye.
DeCalagero?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Slaughter?
Aye.
Thomas? Buffalo?
Aye, we're now in closed session.